So this first commercial that we watched um, used a lot of peripheral techniques to persuade you. And some reasons that you can interpret it that way is that you didn't really get a lot of facts about the product, right? It was very sing-songy. It didn't give you much information about the product, but it made it seem fun, right? You like had that little jingle stuck in your head. And they used just a bunch of happy, friendly people. Like if you eat this product, you'll be happy. So this more used a peripheral route to try to get at you. Things like song, tone of voice, happiness, um, and whatnot. Whereas this commercial, used more of a central route. So you might have noticed that the narrator had a title. He was Chief Breaks Officer, so he seemed knowledgeable about the situation. He described the quality of the candy itself. He included factual dimensions, etc. So he tried to convince you with various arguments, albeit goofy, but the content about the actual product. So this is more of a central way of persuading. So there are a couple different things that might influence which route you use. The first being motivation. So if you're really motivated to pay attention to something and you have high motivation, you're more likely to use the central route of persuasion versus if you kind of don't really care and you might just kind of use external peripheral cues. You're also more likely to use the central route if you're educated about a topic. So for instance, someone who is really big into medicine or science, if they read actual arguments about mask wearing using scientific studies, that might motivate them more than if they haven't been exposed to as much science or don't care about scientific studies. And then lastly, even if you're well educated, if you don't have much time to attend to a message, you're more likely to take the peripheral route. So for instance, if you have time to go in and sit in a lecture and listen to someone's full speech about why you should believe something or do something a particular way, then you're more likely to pay attention to and be persuaded by central information. Whereas if you're just driving a car and you hear some ad on the radio or whatnot, you might just pay attention to the sing-songy, parts of the Kit Kat commercial or, who that person is, whether you trust them or not, that type of thing. So less time, lower educated, lower motivation are kind of your cues that you're just going to base it off external factors. Whereas if you're really motivated, educated, or have more time, you're more likely to pay attention to the actual content. So there are also a couple factors that are not specific to one particular route. And the first is characteristics of who the person persuading you is. So for instance, research has shown that people who are more attractive tend to be more persuasive. That's why you see things like celebrities in advertisements all the time. So if you're using a peripheral route, you might be like, okay, that person looks attractive, I'm going to believe them. Whereas maybe if you're using a central route, you might say, okay, that celebrity is being paid to do that ad. They probably don't actually believe the exact product that they're using is the best product on earth. So maybe I'm going to believe someone like my friend who has nothing to gain from selling me this product to believe that I should get this product. The second is how that message is actually communicated to you. So we tend to view face-to-face contact as being more persuasive than other indirect mediums. So things like printed ads, newspapers, commercials are less persuasive than if someone were to have a direct conversation with you and you actually see them face-to-face. And lastly, age. So we know that children are more likely to respond to persuasive arguments that are emotional rather than logical. So they're more susceptible to attitude change in that way, whereas adults tend to kind of seek out the actual content and logic behind arguments.